In the ancient days, when the world was layered in the mystique of the unknown, I, a humble seeker of knowledge, found myself standing in a place that felt neither of the mortal realm nor the divine. An ancient building nestled within a grove of tall, whispering olive trees. Their silver leaves shimmered as if they held secrets whispered by the gods. The air was full of the earthy scent of crushed herbs and the distant promise of rain. I stood before a magnificent marble with altars outside the walls of the great library of Alexandria, its majestic facade welcoming all who sought knowledge. And it was here in the hallowed halls that I heard the whispers of a sage, a keeper of ancient wisdom, none other than Hermes Trismegistus. Seeking out the whisper, I wandered the labyrinth corridors of the library until I stumbled upon a chamber bathed in soft golden light. In this chamber, I stumbled upon a hidden scroll tucked away in a dusty corner. The parchment was aged and its ink had faded with the passage of time, yet its words held an allure I could not walk away from. My curiosity piqued. I unrolled the fragile scroll, and as my eyes danced across the ancient symbols and the cryptic text, I felt a spark of recognition deep within my soul. It was my first encounter with Hermeticism, a tradition that would forever change the course of my life. Trying the best I could to decipher the words and the symbols held within the scroll, I learned soon enough that it spoke of the Hermetic principles of correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, gender, and the principle of mentalism. They whispered of the unity of the all, the interconnectedness of the cosmos, and the pursuit of divine wisdom. With each passage I read, it was as if the veil had lifted, revealing a hidden world of esoteric knowledge and spiritual insight. And the air I remember feeling in this sacred chamber within this library, it seemed to be charged with knowledge and centuries of revelations. At its center, I looked up from the scroll, and there was a statue of Hermes Trismegistus, a fusion of Hermes and Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. And so I sat with scroll in my hand before the statue, inhaling the vibration of stillness all around me. Closing my eyes, I whispered, Hermes Trismegistus, revealer of hidden truths, I seek your guidance. And like a sacred river, a whisper flowed to me, welcome, knowledge seeker. What knowledge do you desire? And I looked up to see eyes that held the depth of the cosmos, a radiant presence that embodied the essence of Hermes. And I began to speak, though with a tremble in my voice. I longed to understand the Hermetic principles, the Hermetic code, the sacred teachings that unlock the mysteries of the universe. And Hermes smiled, and his words carried the weight of eternity. Hermetics, my child, keys to the cosmos. They are encapsulated in just a few profound principles. First, Be reminded that the patterns of the universe are mirrored in the smallest of things. To understand the macrocosm, seek the microcosm. As above, so below. As below, so above. Next, recognize the interconnectedness of all things. All is one. One is all. Also, understand that the universe is a product of divine thought, and that your mind too holds the power of creation. The all is mind, the universe is mental. By understanding that everything vibrates, you unlock the secret of matter and spirit. The power of vibration. Do not forget. And Hermes leaned closer, his eyes penetrating the depths of my soul. Let us not forget, the state of your inner being is reflected in your outer reality. As within, so without. Purify the heart and mind, and you will shape a harmonious world. And he faded back into the ether, and I was left with a profound sense of illumination. I was drawn deeper into the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, this legendary sage who bridged the realms of the material and the spiritual. And as I delved further into the scrolls of Hermetic wisdom, I found myself on a transformative journey of self-discovery. The principles of Hermeticism illuminated the path before me, guiding me toward a deeper understanding of the universe and my place within it. I sought out ancient sages and wise scholars who had delved into the mysteries of Hermeticism before me. Together we pondered the nature of reality, the secrets of the cosmos, and the eternal quest for knowledge. Our conversations flowed as deep as the ocean itself, and I began to feel a flow within me too, in a way like never before. It was the flow of life. The city's bustling streets and the grand temples faded into the background as Hermeticism became the focal point of my existence. It was not just a philosophy, but a way of life, an alchemical process of self-transformation and spiritual awakening. In the ancient days, amidst all of the cultures and beliefs, I, this knowledge seeker, had stumbled upon Hermeticism, and it had become the guiding star of my journey. With each step, I drew closer to the wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus, the embodiment of the ancient adage, as above, so below. As I continued to explore the depths of Hermetic thought, I came to understand that Hermeticism was not merely a philosophy of the past, but a timeless piece of wisdom, a timeless beacon of light, offering seekers like me the keys to unlock the mysteries of the universe and the boundless potential of the human spirit, the boundless potential of you and I in such an extraordinary way. Ah, yes, let's journey into the beyond, into the world of Hermeticism, and let's learn about the Hermetic principles while we're at it. Ah, yes, Hermetics. What is that? Now, you're probably wondering, what was that you just heard? I mean, wasn't that the tell-all? Is that all there is to Hermetics? I mean, no, I don't think so. I thought it would be kind of a cool way to kind of set the tone for this journey into the beyond. I figured, hey, I'm a highly visual person, so, why not use those visuals and begin with a little short story, whether those stories come from visions that I've had or daydreams or dreams, astral travels, meditations, hypnosises, or just from my imagination. I figured, hey, that'd be pretty cool to just set the tone with that on what it is that we are journeying into, okay? So, yeah, I hope you enjoy that, and there's more to come of that. So yeah, Hermetics. What is it? What is Hermetics? To me, it rings the feel of ancient wisdom. Like, I feel like Hermetics, when I hear that, again, highly visual person, I feel like it's full of keys and codes just start to float around when I hear the word Hermetics. I mean, don't you think? Can you hear it? Like, can you feel it, or can you sense it or see it? Hermetics. Hermeticism. Yeah, Hermetic philosophy. Now, Hermetic philosophy is a spiritual tradition that has its roots in ancient and Greece. Did I just say in ancient? Yeah, I think I did. In Egypt, in ancient Egypt. Now, I feel like there's a lot of debate with that also. There's a lot of debate with all of this, okay? So, the truth that I am bringing forward may not be the truth that you have dived into if you are, expanding upon your knowledge and digging into this even more. There's a lot of different dates that are set on a lot of different texts. There's a lot of debate over the area in which this particular philosophy spawned from. So that's why I want to say, yeah, the roots in ancient Egypt and Greece. Why does it have to be either or the other? Why can't it be both? So Hermeticism is attributed to the legendary figure in my story, who I know I have mentioned a time or two in our last episodes, and that is the wise sage Hermes Trismegistus, or also known as Hermes Thrice Great. Hermes Trismegistus is also believed to be a combo of the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. I mean, that's quite the fusion, I'd say. Now, Hermeticism is said to be traced back, is said to be traced back to ancient Egypt on that side, particularly the Hellenistic period around the 3rd century before Common Era, BCE. The belief that they are one, the thrice great, is a product of ancient syncretism. Now, this is when different cultures came into contact with each other, whether it be through trade or conquest too. They often found similarities between their gods and their religious beliefs. So I imagine basically to facilitate understanding and create a peaceful coexistence, they would sometimes merge their deities. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on this. I mean, it does bring forward some more questions I have, and well, we may just journey into that on another episode. Do a full exploration of Hermes Thrice Great. So just know that for, the purpose of diving into Hermeticism and the Hermetic principles, it is based on the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, or Thrice the Great. It's kind of like, triple power, yeah. Now, the term Hermetic is from medieval Latin Hermeticus, which is, of course, derived from Hermes. I also wanted to take a look at when the actual word had started being used, like Hermeticism, or at least texts associated with Hermes or Hermetics. So here's a few that I found. Now, these go back to the 2nd and 3rd centuries BCE era, and the first one, I have no idea how to pronounce this, and it's a long word. There is no way I'm going to get this correct, but Salmeshinako, Salamesachinako. Let me just spell this thing for you. Where's my note at? There it is. SALMESCHOINIAKA. And it's like also known as. And it is. It's also known as, here's what I can say, wondering of the influences. So that Salma Chinakawa thing, aka, is also known as wondering of the influences. Now, this particular text dealt with the configuration of the stars. And from what I read, it may have been composed in Alexandria. And I also read that the art of this text was preserved on papyrus, and that it also mentions Hermes as an authority type of figure. Now, it's pretty cool to read that because me and my children are homeschooled, and we're actually going through ancient Egypt right now. And last week we actually was learning about papyrus and how it was made. So if you've never heard of papyrus, it is like this cloth-like substance made from a plant, and it's kind of woven together. It was pretty cool to see the way that it was made, and this is what they would use in the way to make scrolls, or in our terms, paper. And then we had the opportunity to play around with that and make it ourselves. Now, of course, we didn't have that particular plant, but we did use the scraps of like a paper bag, and it's a whole process. Like, you have to soak it and weave it and layer it, and yeah, we just had a ball doing it. But so yeah, if you've never really looked into papyrus scrolls, and you have kids and you want to do something interesting with them, I would highly recommend doing that. It's a fun activity. Kind of expands the mind and also really makes you appreciate, the things that we do actually have now, So anyways, what is our next one? So the Book of Hermes. Now, this was an important one on astrology. Yep. Astrology was pretty big back in the day, and well, it still is now. The Holy Book of Hermes to Asclepius. Now, I feel like I pronounced that right, but I may be wrong. But it is Asclepius, I believe, Asclepius. In the 1st century BCE, we've got fragments of one too called Isis the Prophetess to her son Horus, which that one to me sounds very, very interesting. I was like, ooh, I would love to find this text, but it's apparently just fragments of what was. But I would still love to read those fragments. And then you have one that is a work on healing magic and regularly cites Hermes as a source, and that is the Cyrenides, the Secret of Creation and the Art of Nature. And the cryptic text of the Emerald Tablet are cited as being written in Arabic and from around the 8th to 9th century. I read that it may have came from the 3rd century, but Arabic and Islamic scholars were preserving and commenting on Hermetic texts in the 7th century. So, there's that. There's another debate on the whole timing of everything. It kind of looks like these concepts of Hermeticism really kind of came to be around anywhere between the 1st and 3rd centuries, and then it took a bit of time for it to kind of catch on. And then you have all these great texts coming out, authors that are talking about Hermes and talking about his authority and him as a source of these teachings. So pretty interesting. Another is the Great Treatise of the Spheres. And that one is believed to be inspired by the Emerald Tablets and describes secret knowledge and ascension of the 7 heavenly spheres. So I definitely have a feel that taps in and connects into Kabbalah. We also have commentaries on the Emerald Tablet, like the Book of Hermes on alchemy. And during the Renaissance, texts would come about that were attributed to Hermes Trismegistus and were believed to be of ancient Egypt origin and to date before the biblical flood, before the days of Moses. Of course, there's so many more, but I just wanted to name a few because back in the day when I first heard the word Hermeticism, I automatically thought it was just about the Emerald Tablet. And I mean, I guess because it's one of the, more known texts. But the first text associated with Hermeticism is believed to be the Corpus Hermeticum. The core texts of Hermeticism are found in the Corpus Hermeticum. And this is a collection of writings that encompass the philosophical, spiritual, and mystical teachings. One text said that the Corpus Hermeticum can be traced back to the same period in the 3rd century, like the Emerald Tablets, but again, debate. One text said, "Man is a marvelous living being, and not to be deemed so small a thing as he, in whom are all things, and through whom all things, and by whom are all things." A quote from that text, the Corpus Hermeticism, attributed to Hermes. And I think it really highlights and emphasizes that within each of us, there is this reflection of the entirety of creation, that interconnectedness. It's beautiful. I so want to journey deeper into the Emerald Tablets, though. That in itself has intrigued me for years. And funny little story with this, way back in the day, I was in this meditative session, just sitting there chilling, kind of doing my little introspection thing, kind of going on a meditative walk, so to speak. And I was sitting in this garden area, in my mind's eye, and I had my friend's grandmother, who not too long had passed away, and it was her spirit, and she threw a green book at me, like hit me in my astral head. I mean, like clump, just a big green book or tablet at me, and walked away. Like, she didn't say nothing. There was nothing more to it. She just walks out of these bushes and chunks this green thing at me, right? And I had no idea what that was supposed to mean. I told my friend about it, and she was like, "What in the world?" So, me, I knew at that point that once you get a little piece of information, if you pay attention, then more things will come and you'll finally figure out what it means. So it didn't take me long, and I eventually came to the conclusion that it was the Emerald Tablets. And, I had never heard of it at that time, but I think it was like days after that visual, I had all of these synchronicities popping up, whether it be just scrolling or hear somebody, or I think there was actually, I like watching a lot of history. I'm totally into history, if you guys can't tell. But, something came across the TV. I'm not sure if it was the History Channel or what, but there were numerous synchronicities popping up. And I remember having a dream about a bear that was chasing me, and then all of a sudden I stopped running and I turned around and faced the bear, and he kind of bowed up, and then I made myself bigger. This was like kind of the thing that was going on, like you're not gonna chase me anymore. And the bear turned off and walked around. So it was kind of, I don't know, synchronistic too to the friend's grandmother thing too, because as the bear walked away, what was left where he sat was, again, a green book or a green tablet. So that was another little experience within days' time of this happening. So yeah, a lot of synchronicities started popping up, and I knew they would. Like, I knew I would figure out what it was. So, yeah, we will definitely have to journey into the beyond on that one because there's so much in that. Let's see. So, during the Renaissance period, there was a big revival of Hermeticism then. Talking about in like the 15th, the 17th centuries, scholars rediscovered and were translating the Hermetic texts, sparking this renewed interest in the philosophy and mysticism itself. Figures like Marsilio Ficino, who was known for his translations, interpretations, and even integrations of Hermeticism with other philosophical teachings like Neoplatonism and Christianity and even ancient Greek thought. And then there's Giovanni Pico della Mirandola. He's a super interesting character. And he was this Italian Renaissance scholar who was intrigued by Hermeticism and those principles. And Pico saw Hermeticism as like this way to unify and reconcile philosophical traditions or religion itself. And he got into a bit of trouble. Of course, his ideas were condemned by the church. So, there was a lot of controversy there. Drama llama. But yeah, he's such a fascinating individual. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We're going to be journeying beyond into him as well. I'll probably do his after. I do want to talk about Hermes Trismegistus a little more in depth and go into the concept of the thrice great, and then I think we'll start kind of venturing off into these characters that really kept Hermeticism, Gnosis in itself, alive. One of Pico's most popular works is his famous oration on the dignity of man, and in this piece he emphasizes the potential for humanity to rise above the earthly limitations and to become a bridge between the material and the spiritual worlds. His oration really reflected his belief of this transformative power of Hermetics. So yeah, Hermetics had a revival in the Renaissance period. It's pretty cool. I also found that the word Hermetic was used by John Everard in his English translation of the Pymander of Hermes. This was published in 1650. And then there was Marianne Atwood. She mentioned the word Hermetics in 1386. The synonymous term hermetical shows up in the 7th century. Sir Thomas Browne, in his Religio Medici in 1643, wrote, "Now, besides these particular and divided spirits, there may be a universal and common spirit to the whole world. It was the opinion of Plato, and yet the Hermetical philosophers." So you can see that in 1643 in that Religio Medici. Hermes Trismegistus supposedly, I found this fascinating, he supposedly invented the process of making a glass tube airtight, kind of like a process in alchemy, right? Using the sacred seal or the secret seal. Or maybe I am right. Maybe it was a sacred seal, right? I mean, hence the term completely sealed, how it's implied in hermetically sealed, and the term hermetic being also equivalent to hidden knowledge. So yeah, I'm not quite sure that these days Hermeticism and this hidden knowledge is actually hidden, rather than, I would say, what you're willing to open up to. Yes. And then we have Walter Scott in like 1924. He placed the date of Hermetic text around 200 BC, but then there was a debate about that. And this guy, Petrick, it was like W. Flinders He placed the origin between 200 to 500 BC. So yeah, it's much more than the Emerald Tablets, like I had originally thought. But the Emerald Tablets itself is a wonderful starting point if you want to dive even deeper into Hermetics and the Hermetic principles and Hermes Trismegistus, right? I about said Trismegistus. But I caught myself. Oh, I'm so proud of me. Usually I want to say Trismegistus. But yeah, stay tuned because, like I said, I do want to dive deeper into the Emerald Tablet. So if you're interested in that, I do feel like that would be a great place to start. And then of course, Hermeticism, moving into like the 19th century, it really gave rise to mystical movements, I would say, and it continued to influence thinkers and expanding the esoteric and alchemy and astrology and occultism. Groups like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn incorporated Hermetic teachings. So one thing is for sure, Hermeticism, it remains this living tradition today. I mean, people from all walks of life studies its principles and, they put it into practice. Even I myself study the concepts, and that has helped me to pursue inner wisdom and inner understanding. Or shall I say, understanding, right? Unity of myself with all creation, and I can see the relationship between the macro and the microcosm. The teachings of Hermetics really packs quite the experience, and it just has this lasting impact on thought itself, mysticism, and daily life, and the material and the spiritual realms, and seeing the connection and the esoteric realm. The Hermeticism suggests that true understanding comes from within, and that we should seek to align ourselves with the divine through introspection. And hey, I am all for that. It's what I was born to do. How many of you feel the same? How many of you have maybe even been practicing Hermetics and didn't even know it? That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Hermetics. Now that we know kind of where Hermeticism comes from, and that there are actually a lot of texts out there about it. And let's not forget the text, the Kabbalion, right? The Kabbalion, however you want to pronounce it. I say Kabbalion. Another very popular one. This one was published in 1908, I believe. And this one conveys the teaching of Hermes Trismegistus, of course. It pretty much serves as the foundation of Hermetic doctrine and the 7 Hermetic principles. Now, what in the world are the 7 Hermetic principles, you might ask? Well, you know what I got to say? Let's journey into it. Now, the 7 Hermetic principles are these fundamental concepts in Hermeticism that serves as the foundation for understanding the natural and the spiritual laws governing the universe. Each principle provides insights into the nature of reality and consciousness and personal transformation. So I'll explain each principle, and maybe I'll be able to provide you with examples of how you can apply these in your life, right? What good are knowing the principles if you can't apply them in your day-to-day? So let's kick it off with the first principle, the principle of mentalism. Now, the all is mind. The universe is mental. This principle shows that the nature of the universe is mental, or we could say consciousness based. So basically, everything originates from the mind, or the one universal mind. Now, how can you use this? Well, you could start by recognizing the power of your thoughts and beliefs. You could get your mind to simmer down so that you can cultivate positivity. and focused on manifesting the life that you want. Focused mindset to manifest your goals and aspirations. Maybe something as simple as practicing mindfulness and meditation to understand and master your mental processes. So really slowing down and observing the thoughts that you are, and kind of like putting yourself in check. Those moments where you like have those moments to where you're, we all do it. We all have this, we can be our own worst enemy sometimes, and we can pop in with these negative thoughts, just keeping a check on yourself and readjusting that way of thinking, bringing in and cultivating that positivity. It will, I want to say perform miracles, but you're the one that is conducting the magic, It's not just out of nowhere. You are using the principle of mentalism to bring in the life that you really want to live, to feel how you really want to feel, to experience what you want to experience. So give that some thought. And then we move on to number 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. Now, this principle suggests that there are correspondences and connections between all levels of existence. And I'm talking about from the macrocosm, the universe out there, to the microcosm, the you in here, the inner you, the individual. How could you use this one? How could you better understand this one? Well, start to take note of the patterns in one area of your life. It may have parallels in another area of your life. So by recognizing these correspondences, you can gain insight into complex situations and, make more informed decisions. Kind of like, let's say that you're having trouble with a relationship and you're arguing a lot, but you also see this showing up in another area of your life, like watching 2 other people do the same thing. Maybe your best friend, or your parent, or your sister, or your brother. It's that parallel. It's connected. And usually there's something that you need to see within that. Something that you maybe need to absorb, take in, understand, learn, grow from it, right? So I kind of like to think of this one as like this. What I'm feeling inside, which is the microcosm, I'll see and experience out here on the outside of me, the macrocosm. So as within, so without. It really, really does matter how you feel inside, because that is that microcosm reflecting, or vice versa, the macrocosm reflecting your microcosm. So pay attention to that. See the patterns. All right, number 3, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle kind of underscores the dynamic nature of the universe, where everything is in constant motion and has a vibration to it. And I know this to be true because I see a lot of the times a vibration with things, whether it be words, song, objects. I will see that vibration. So I know and I feel this one to be true. So basically, acknowledge that energy and vibration plays such an important role in your life. Pay attention to your emotional and energetic state. Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with number 2, that correspondence, the connection, right? You want to pay attention to your emotional and energetic state. Practice raising your vibration through any kind of activity that you enjoy. I know a lot of times when you ask people, how do I raise my vibration? Usually the number one thing they're going to say is meditation. And I mean, I do agree, because meditation itself will handle 1, 2, and 3. When you're in that meditative state, it's going to handle the mentalism. You're going to understand that you're connected to everything. It's going to handle that correspondence in the way that you see the macro and the macrocosm. It's going to handle that principle of vibration. You're going to be opening your mind and exploring and raising your vibration, you know. So, yeah, I would definitely agree with that meditative state. But I also say do things that you enjoy. I mean, like really, truly enjoy. I don't care what it is. Maybe for you, it's spending time in nature or singing or dancing or painting or spending time with pets or, you know, finding a comedy to laugh at. Whatever it is for you, I say do that. That way you're handling it. You know, you are actively raising your vibration, and you're also using your intention, okay, the principle of correspondence and the principle of mentalism again, because you are placing a, you know, thought process to this. You are placing an intention to this. You're saying, okay, now I'm going to go dance in the rain and I'm going to raise my vibration. I'm going to take a love bath bomb, you know, I'm going to throw some rose petals in there and some milk and, you know, light some scented candles and maybe sip some wine. You know, you're going to take a self-care love bath. That's going to raise your vibration. Anything that you feel joy in the core of you is going to help you do that. So vibe high, tribe, vibe high. I picture like a vibration rattling within me that connects like sound waves or energy waves or like wavelengths to another similar vibration, and it pulls that into me. Like that's visually how I see vibration. So yeah, vibration, it's another part of the magic of Hermeticism, of alchemy. Alchemize that vibration from understanding to understanding your role and your vibration. Now, on to number 4, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. This principle highlights the existence of opposites or dualities in the universe and how they are actually interconnected. So how could you work with this principle? Maybe like embrace the idea that opposites are part of this greater whole. You know, seek balance and harmony in your life by understanding and integrating polarities. For example, recognizing that both success and failure can be great teachers on your path. Now, isn't that the truth? Recognizing that, say you have fear, and then on the other end of that polarity, you have courage, but seeing that one is within the other one, you know, that these are interconnected. I think of like, how can we know good? You know, there's some sort of old adage about this, like, how can we know good or happiness if we've never known the bad or sadness, right? So it's kind of understanding that negative isn't negative at all. Seeing it and applying it as a teacher, a great teacher in your life. And then we have number 5, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and they fall. Now, this principle emphasizes the cycle of nature, of existence, where rhythms and patterns repeat. And yes, they do. I have seen many, many patterns and cycles repeat in my life. So apply this by embracing the natural rhythms of life. Understand that challenges and difficulties are only temporary, and they will eventually give way to periods of growth and success. So in this way, you can cultivate patience and resilience, you know, and for sure, watch these patterns, watch the cycles in your life. I'm telling you, by watching these cycles and patterns in your life, you can propel yourself in your path. I mean, I'm doing a big wink wink over here. Pay attention to the principle of rhythm. Pay attention to the patterns and cycles in your life and within yourself. Then we have number 6, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. This principle taps into the idea that there are underlying causes for every event or circumstance. Now, oh my gosh, do I believe this? I noticed this so many years ago. I had to be a teenager when I recognized this one. So apply it by taking responsibility for your actions and your choices, knowing that they have consequences. Reflect on potential outcomes before making a decision. By understanding the law of cause and effect, you can make more intentional choices. And also, this one can help you have a deeper understanding for some of the harder things that you go through in life. Like I said, it didn't take me long to figure this one out, but once I realized it, the tough challenges didn't seem so tough anymore. So think about that. Think about your most recent thing that you've kind of gone through. Like, if you had known that you could have made a different choice or a different action or taken a different action, or, if you could just look at it from this bird's eye view and see that it really wouldn't have mattered at that point what choice you would have made, there was a lesson in it. There was something in that for you. Whatever that challenge was, whatever that tough situation was, there was something in that for you, right? So if you can come to understand that, then the hard doesn't seem that hard anymore. And guess what in turn that does when you realize that? Oh, it trickles back down the line. It handles the principle of rhythm. It goes back and handles that principle of polarity. We know that a negative isn't a negative now. It goes back and it handles the principle of vibration and then the principle of mentalism. You've got your mind in check now. So you see how all of these principles kind of have something to do with each other. Like they are very much interconnected, just like everything else. And then we move on to the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. The principle here suggests that there are masculine, this active energy, and the feminine, which is a very receptive energy. And these aspects are in all things, both in the physical and the metaphysical realms. So this one, recognize the interplay of masculine and feminine qualities within yourself and the world. Strive for balance and integration of these energies. For example, harnessing both your assertiveness and your receptivity. This can lead to a more effective communication and relationships that you cultivate. Think about it. If you are in this way of knowing when to act, knowing when to receive, knowing when to feel, knowing when to take a step, you know what I'm saying? Like there's this great balance within you. You're going to cultivate some pretty awesome relationships because you're in that flow. You are embodying both masculine and feminine energy. It's an acceptance. It's a great balance. That's literally what it is. I keep seeing this image of like swaying to and fro. Sometimes we have a little more feminine and we're really lacking in the masculine. Sometimes we're over more into the masculine and lacking that femininity aspect, and it's all about bringing that into harmony. Think of the yin and yang, right? So yeah, you're going to be able to see this within yourself once you start tapping into it, connecting with those energies, and you're going to begin to see this balance or imbalance in other people too. This will open you up to so much more patience, grace, yes, and understanding. By understanding and applying these 7 Hermetic principles in your life, you really truly can gain deeper insight into the workings of the universe, into working with the universe instead of working against, the flow of nature. You can improve your decision making, and you can surely embark on a transformative journey towards self-realization and spiritual growth. It is quite the mind-opening ride. So, you guys, on that note, I hope this in itself has been a mind-opening journey into the beyond for you. So, I'm going to say let's continue to be inspired, and until next time, keep exploring.